Hey everyone, Livy here, back with another video, and today I am doing a continuation of, I guess, an updated collection video. Last time you guys saw one of these, I was showing you all my mini pocket or odd-shaped tarot and oracle decks, like the smaller bits. So what this video today is the beginning of showing my, I guess, more standard or like bigger sized tarot decks. Just tarot for this video. I have to say I'm going to be splitting this video into, I'm pretty sure it's going to be 5 parts. I'm going to be splitting into 5 parts because after filming that big mini pocket size, you know, odd-shaped deck video, I got really burnt out. It was just a lot and too many decks at once to show. So I'm limiting how many I'm going to be talking about today. Yeah, so there's going to be 5 of these for the tarot. And again, these are more standard size tarot decks. Some of them are slightly taller maybe or fatter, but they're more standard, okay? They're not like smaller decks. Also, every deck I'm going to show is one that I actually consider a part of my collection. It is not in my purgatory bin or literally about to go out the door and leave my collection because I just don't want any more, you know? So there's that. I just wanted to preface with that. Also, I'm going to apologize in advance for the lighting. This whole week has been really doom and gloom and like raining and stuff. So the only lighting that I have is like this lamp over here. So it might make the colors distorted, but it is what it is. We're going to get into it and start with tarot decks for this part 1. I'm probably too lazy to actually show a picture, but basically where I keep most of my tarot decks is in this like, it's like this structure that has 4 drawers kind of. I think it's supposed to technically be for like yarn and craft stuff. I don't know, but I keep tarot decks in it instead. If I remember and I'm not lazy, I will, I'll post like a picture of it somewhere here, but I keep most of my decks in that. It's like 4 little shelving thingies. And then I have a big like cubicle thing, like a little, you know, square next to that bin. And that's basically where I keep all my tarot and oracle decks. So today, you guys are going to see tarot decks that are from my first row. Yeah. Let's just get into it. I've been talking too long about that. So this first deck I'm going to show now, actually, I should say something about the first row. The first row of tarot decks, because it's the tall, like it's on top, it can fit kind of more of my bigger size decks and ones that have like bigger boxes. Like it's not as weird if those are there. It's just the way that the thing is structured. But anyways, in this, no one should be surprised by this bag by now. Very plain bag, but I keep my first tarot deck in it. This is the Raven's Prophecy Tarot. It's a Llewellyn deck. I have edged mine in an orange to match the fronts. This, as I've said multiple times, this was my first tarot deck. So I guess for this, I really don't need to talk about this one very much. Only thing I can note is this, because this, when I got this deck as the first printing, of this deck, and it had this older Llewellyn cardstock, which is like nice and thin, but it also is not the same nasty, weird, glossy cardstock they have now. I don't know. It's not like, there's still a gloss, like a slight, but it's not like glossy, you know, like Llewellyn does now. I loved this cardstock. I don't know why the hell they changed it to whatever they're doing now. Don't know. Don't like it. Love this deck. And I've shown it so many times, so I'm not going to go too much into this. But yeah, this is the Raven's Prophecy Tarot. It does have a really good guidebook, which I should have pulled aside to show you guys. Oh man, I'm not going to find it now, but it has a really good guidebook that it also came with because it was a Llewellyn deck. And I love this one, do recommend it, but it is definitely not for beginners, even though this was my first deck. So yeah, let's move on to the next one. Okay, next up we have Anima Mundi. I also showed this. Okay, so this one and the Raven's Prophecy Tarot, and I guess the next deck I'll show after that. They were all in my last five, but you know, if you didn't watch that video, here are the backs. Has metallic edging, gilding. That was actually good gilding. These are the fronts. It's a thicker, this edition, okay, I don't know what printing or whatever this version of Anima Mundi was. I got this quite a few years back. I want to say it was probably around 2017, 2018. Don't know. Don't remember what printing it is, but whatever one it was, it has this nice, beautiful linen cardstock that is just really, really good. But anyways, let me show you the deck, okay? I do like this deck. I've talked about this a lot recently. I haven't used it a lot since I first kind of got it. It is an animal deck. As you can see, it is Pippish. It vaguely reminds me of like the animal version of Pagan Otherworlds. I've talked about that too. Like if you're not sure you want the Pagan Otherworlds vibes, maybe try out this deck because if you like animals too. But it basically reminds me of the animal version of Pagan Otherworlds, just in like similar art style, cardstock, whatever. I really like this one, but yeah, I don't know when I'm going to use it again. This moon card is fantastic though. Like, look at that. So good. I like a lot of the animals shown, but it is a Pippi deck. Oh, and this is one of the best devils, I will say. This devil's good. This is the only human in the whole deck. It's a really fun one, but yeah, it's kind of old school already, but I like it, and it's a part of my collection. So that is Anima Mundi. Do like it, do recommend it. Yeah. Okay, next up I have here Tarot of the Divine. This is a deck. This is a mass market deck. Oh, I should have mentioned that. Raven's Prophecy Tarot, mass market. Anima Mundi, indie. This is another mass market. This is Tarot of the Divine. This is a Yoshi Tani deck. This deck I also have, which I guess I should have again pulled aside, but I did not. This deck I also have the journal. There's like a separate journal you can buy, and there's also a separate like storybook that has all the myths, legends, folklore that's featured in this deck. But these are the backs. These are the fronts. This cardstock, it's like what I like to call pseudo linen, because it's kind of got, as you can see, like this linen texture, but you can tell it's not actually linen in the inside. I don't know how they achieved this deck, but the cardstock's also really weird and bendy. See, it has like a slight, I don't know if you guys can tell, it has like a slight curvature, and it's always been like that. But anyways, Tarot of the Divine, I do love this deck. I like the diversity of this one. I love the color scheme. I don't know if this lighting is picking it up or not, but this deck is mostly in shades of red to blue, which is one of my favorites. But it's also like the mixing of those colors, so it sometimes makes colors in between, like oranges and yellows, and greens. But I really, really love this one. This is just like all the other decks, I guess. This isn't going anywhere. At the time of me filming this, I do also intend to do a deeper study with this deck in March of this year, assuming it doesn't interfere with some other plans I have, but that's like currently the goal. And I'm excited. I've had this deck for a while, but anytime you can dive deeper into a deck, you know, is just fantastic. And a lot of these images are also ones that they're like basically my favorite tarot interpretations ever. So really, really good. Oh, I love this King of Swords. So good. Like, I don't know if the lighting's doing it justice, but the colors in here are fantastic for this Griffin. So yeah, absolutely love this deck. I do recommend it. This, I feel like in some ways, because it does, sorry, because it does, in my opinion, follow the RWS pretty closely. I do think this could be a great deck for beginners, but it does require a lot of deep diving. And I guess not everybody wants to do that right off the bat, but I do nonetheless still enjoy this one. So this is Tarot of the Divine, and I'm going to move on to the next deck. Okay, the next deck that I'm going to show is this one. This is, okay, you guys might recognize this deck. I got this more recently, kind of near the latter half or middle half of 2024, so it still feels newer to me in my collection. But in this iteration, it is known as the How to Deal Tarot. But this was originally an indie deck known as the Circo Tarot. But what I'm going to show you today was the mass market version, which I don't remember if the mass market version is now in print again or not. I don't know. For a while, it was like out of print or whatever. It says Embrace Your Intuition in there. But this is the mass market version, right? That they had at one point in time. Don't know if it's out of print or not. For this version, the backs look like this, which I really love. Again, I don't know if the camera and this lighting is picking it up, but this is like a lighter blue, purple, pink. I kind of like the cardstock. It is on the thinner side, so I guess some people are really bothered by thin cardstock. I'm not, because I have smaller hands. It is pretty thin, but it has this like nice, smooth, buttery texture. I wouldn't say this is even close to rose petal, but it's like vaguely reminiscent of it. It's kind of nice. These are the fronts. I will show this in a second, but this guidebook for how to deal tarot is pretty nice in the sense that it's like big, and it does show like every card image. But I will say for being a big book, it only has a small paragraph of information. So I kind of feel like this could have been made a lot smaller, but it is what it is. It has some interesting spreads though. I might use this for my tarot and practice series soon, but I don't know. But anyways, I just wanted to show the guidebook because I did have it out. But let's look at the cards. Okay. So yeah, this was known as the Circo Tarot, the How to Deal Tarot. I really like this one. I haven't used it yet. And as you can see, it is still in order. Yeah, I guess I did put it in order. Interesting. Okay. Anyways, I kept it in order because I haven't really used it yet. But the colors on this one are so wacky and fun. I find it really fascinating, and I can't wait to use this. I do have a time when I am going to attempt to use this deck, mainly in May, but there's going to be something else going on maybe in March. I'm not going to say too much on that yet, where you might see this deck again. But I'm excited for it. It is so interesting and out there, and it's just really unique in my collection, and I can't wait to dive a little bit deeper into this. But yeah, again, this was once an indie deck known as a Circo Tarot. It had different cardstock, I believe, and a different backing. And then it went mass market, and it turned into How to Deal. And then I don't know if it's still, I don't know if it's still running. But if it's not, sorry. But I am showing it just so you guys know that this is in my collection, and I do intend to use it soon. So yeah, this is the How to Deal Tarot. Okay, next up in my collection, I have this deck. It didn't, so I'll explain. This is a Kelly Bear bag, from Kelly Bear. This deck is the Carrot Tarts Tarot. And originally, when I got the Carrot Tarts Tarot, it's a part of the deck's charm. It's very silly. It has packaging that's basically just like a paper. It's like a paper origami box, basically. And that was too flimsy to hold my deck, so I got a Kelly Bear bag. These are the backs. This is, oh my God, why am I blanking? This is indie. This is indie. This is actually a Polish deck, I believe. Yes, I think it's a Polish deck. I got it on Etsy. This deck is super fun. I love the colors. I love the hand-drawn quality of it. I love that it's fantastical. This deck it's It is a Pips with Feelings deck. I think the only suit in this deck, to be honest, that's weak in my opinion are the swords. But even some of these other minors I think are really smart, like the wands, even the cups, the pentacles. There's some really fascinating cards in this deck. But it is a Pips with Feelings, just so you know. The cardstock, I like it. It's smooth. It bends, it's thin, so it bends easy. If you're a riffle shuffler, this is going to probably be fine for you. I don't riffle shuffle, but I know people, care about that kind of thing. I do like this deck a lot. I want to use it more, but I haven't found the time. When did I think I'm going to be using it more in May. I have a schedule this year of when I'm going to be using decks, but I think I put this one in May. Or April, somewhere in the spring to summer range, this deck will make an appearance again. I've seen a couple people on TarotTube who have this deck now. I don't know everybody, but I know Shanna over at Shanity and Marine over the Waves of Your Soul, and I think also Jonaki of Catomancy Tarot. They're the main people I've seen with this deck, but it's a fun one, and I really like it. Look at the strength card being a dragon. So good. So I do recommend it if you like quirky decks and you don't mind decks that are Pips with Feelings. If you're not a fan of Pips with Feelings, this probably won't be the deck for you. But I wanted to show it off and show that's in my collection and that I at least enjoy it. Okay. Next deck up here. This is another indie deck. And it came with this cute little bag. This is the Practical Magic Tarot, but specifically the Practical Magic Tarot made by Chingay Labrador with these backs. Indie, the creator is Filipina. And this is a collage deck. The cardstock is okay. Not like the greatest, but it works for me. Again, it's on the thinner side. So again, if you riffle, shuffle, and stuff, this will be pretty much fine for you. I really like this deck. I was just thinking about like, what's it called? I don't have like a crazy big selection of collage decks, but I have quite a few now. And I have to say this is one of my favorites just because when I think of certain images and like certain cards that I think have really smart interpretations of, the tarot, this is one of them that comes to mind for me. I really like this one. It also has keywords in the minors, which is really good, I guess, if you're a beginner and really trying to learn. Oh, I love this Six of Pentacles. Sharing is caring. I hear this like every goddamn day at work because I work in education. Students always try to say that, even though they're not technically supposed to be sharing food nowadays. But anyways, I really like this deck. I've shown it off quite a bit. You guys know this has been in my collection a while. It's not going anywhere, but absolutely love it. It is in this top row with all these other decks, and it's just a fun time. Oh, I love this 10 of Swords. I've had it up to here. See, some of these keyword phrases are really good. I just really like this one. I always tend to gravitate towards it, though, more in the spring and summer months, just because it gives me that vibe. It's very teen spirit vibe, or basically the vibes of, like, Olivia Rodrigo's music. It's probably just this deck. I've said that before, too. I don't know why. It just gives all of that. Oh, I really like this Knight of Cups, too. Really good. Most of this deck is just really fun. I do like this one. I don't see a lot of people who use it either, but that's fine because I like the decks because I like the decks, right? It doesn't have to matter if other people give a shit about them or not, but I really like these. So yeah, we're going to move on into the next decks. Okay, the next deck that I have here in this bag happens to be my Dungeons and Dragons Tarot. Oh, the Dungeons and Dragons Tarot. I love this deck. I don't think this deck is ever going to go anywhere. Fun. Oh, I should say these are the backs. I did edge it in black and it looks so good. I love it. And it also has like, I have to say this is also another pseudo linen cardstock. You can see it has like a texture, but I can tell from the sides it's not like fully linen. I don't know how to explain it. This one's also on the thicker side. This one's thicker than Tarot of the Divine. I don't know if I would riffle shuffle this, but anyways, I don't riffle shuffle. I'm just saying it for people who do. I love this deck. I have the more, I don't even know what you would call this, what print run this would be, but I have it where it actually has names on the bottoms of the cards. When this deck first came out, they didn't, for some batshit reason, include the names. And I say batshit just because it's like, that's wild to me. Like, especially if you were going to pull this deck as a beginner deck. I feel like you need the names on the cards. Just my opinion here. I love the artwork of this. Again, it's based on Dungeons and Dragons. This is one of my favorites up there for sure. I love the vibes. I think this deck is really smart. I love that it's fantastical. What's really funny is that my walkthrough of this deck, like in-depth walkthrough of this, where I talk about how it relates to D&D and the things that I saw in the cards, that video so consistently gets views. I guess it's from people who are probably, they're really trying to look into the deck to decide if it's for them. That one always gets a lot of views and random comments. But yeah, this is a good one. Really good. I love doing walkthroughs, especially of this, because there was just like so much I was able to say. And if you're a fan of Dungeons and Dragons, I mean, right, this could be a deck for you. I really like this one. Again, not going anywhere. But this is kind of like a niche deck, like if you really like fantasy or Dungeons and Dragons, this will probably be a deck for you. But if you don't, you might not care as much. Also because the suits, as you can see, are renamed. That is the one thing about this deck. The strength suit is supposed to be aligned to wands, but I personally would have put them as pentacles. And then intelligence is for the swords. Wisdom is for cups. And I don't know if I'll see it here. Let me see if any of them are popping up again. Oh, charisma is pentacles, but I personally would have put charisma as wands instead, but whatever. It is what it is. They did some changing around, but I still like this deck despite all that. And yeah, this is the Dungeons and Dragons Tarot. Okay, next up, I have one of my standouts from last year, which is this. In this pouch here, I have, where is it? Here we go. The Spark and Pen Tarot. This is a deck that for a very long time was out of print, and I couldn't find it anywhere, and I was losing my mind. It was basically one of those unicorn decks, right? But then early last year, I was able to get a hold of it. And then I don't know if it was the popularity of this video or renewed interest in the deck or whatever. This deck went back into print. So it is in print. You can find it on Etsy. These are the backs, which are fantastic and rainbow. This deck is also a true linen. It's really good. I like the cardstock, very thin. So easy, like me, if you have small hands. Easy to use. The colors in this deck are fantastic. It is a little bit limited of a color palette, but I am obsessed with this deck. Some people have said that this reminds them of the Sasarai Beto Tarot a little bit in the way the art is done. Now, I don't have the Sasarai Beto, but basically this would, I guess, be my Sasarai Beto then, because I don't want that deck. I don't know, don't want it. But I love this deck. It has some really smart choices. It's very colorful. It's a really fun one. This was my standout, one of my standouts of 2024. I use this deck for everything. I'm going to try to take a chill pill with this deck into this year, though. It does have a little bit more nudity. So if you're someone like me who normally doesn't like nudity, I only made really an exception kind of for this deck and maybe some others I'm going to show. But yeah, it's just a really good one, and I do recommend it. I don't know what else to say. I talked about this deck a lot last year, so no one should be surprised. But yeah, this is the Spark and Pen Tarot. This is indie. Dungeons and Dragons, if I didn't say earlier, was mass market. Okay, next up, I don't know what was going on there, but next up we have the Goblins and Gardens Tarot deck. This is another indie deck. Love it. It is based off of D&D again, if the name didn't make it apparent. This one's based off of D&D, but this is a collage deck that combines like old D&D art with like home, I think a lot of like home and garden collage work from way back when. It'll make sense when I show it. But anyways, these are the fun backs. This is a linen glossy cardstock, but true linen nonetheless, really good. It has metallic edging, or gilding, sorry. Here we go. I love this deck. It is so fun. It is a very comforting deck, but at the same time, it pushes me to, you know, go in the direction I need to go, but it also validates my feelings. I don't know. I really enjoyed this deck last year. It was one of those standouts also. It's a really fun one, but yeah, it's not for everyone. It's very cheeky. It's got some fun like this, like fun bits to it. It's so quirky. It's so different. This is just like, this is one of those collage decks that there's like literally nothing else like this, and that is amazing. Like, how is that possible? I don't know. There's so many people who do collage decks, but to do one like this in this interesting of a way, especially pulling like old D&D art with this like home and garden stuff, especially this Fun Devil. I love this card. It's just so different. I don't know if this, again, would be a deck for everybody. It also is, it works for me because this deck is linen, but as you can see, it is more, it's a little bit wider than standard tarot. Kind of more like an oracle size maybe. But still, I like this one a lot. And it's really not going anywhere. It shuffles also, again, like most of the linen decks I'm showing today, it shuffles really well. I overhand, I don't riffle. But even if you were going to riffle, I don't think this would be a problem because, again, it's linen. Usually easy to shuffle. And yeah, really like this one. So this is the Goblins and Gardens Tarot. Okay, next up we have here the Lioness Oracle Tarot. I love this one. This one has been around a while. Oldie, another collage deck. This is indie. Also, and I will admit, as someone with smaller hands, this deck is chunky, but I'm going to show you what I mean by that. Despite that, I still love it. I don't know why. I usually cannot stand decks that are too chunky. But anyways, these are the beautiful backs. I don't know if the lighting's picking this up very well, but it has like this matte edging in a coppery kind of color. It sparkles a little. And so I have small hands, and this deck is also oracle size. So as you can see, my finger here can barely see, it's like squished. It's like trying to reach around it and it just hurts. So it is a little hard for me to shuffle. I can kind of, as you can see, I can kind of do it, but it's just kind of, I don't know, it's kind of clumsy. It doesn't go as quickly. So just be aware that if you're wanting to get this deck and you have smaller hands, it is on the chunky side. Nonetheless, the collage work on this is nice. I think why it works for me is that it's got space to it. Like, it does have, as you can see, collage work, but it was done so it's like kind of limiting in some parts, but some cards have a little bit more. So you get space, so it's not like too much collage at once. And it has a lot of spacey rose vibes, which I like. I call this my Leo Rising deck too, because it just reminds me very much of like Leo energy, or at least what people think Leo energy is supposed to be like. I am I'm a double Leo, so I'm like a Leo rising and I have a Leo sun, which is hilarious always to me because I don't think I'm either very much, but this is like what people think Leos are most supposed to be like. So I don't know. I just really like this deck. It's fun. I will be using it this February. I always tend to gravitate. I don't know what it is about this deck that feels like vaguely romantic. So I always want to use it now in February. Kind of weird. But anyways, this has been around for a while. This deck is in print. I really, really, really want this creator's Visions of the Muse Oracle, but that one is not currently in print. I don't know when she's coming back around with that, but I hope it's soon. I especially like it because she is like a really close by creator, like a local creator. She's from Oakland. I'm not in Oakland, but I live near-ish it. So I just like being able to support local artists. But yeah, this is a good one. I really like it. And if you like collage decks like this, then I do recommend you checking it out. But yeah, this is the Lioness Oracle Tarot. Okay, next up, this is like the penultimate deck that I'll be showing in this video. But this is a Cosmic Wisdom Tarot. This is by Anima, one of our own in the tarot community. It's in this really big box. I've been debating if I want to take it out of this box because, to be honest, it's like kind of chunky. But it has a it's like really good production quality though. The book is like rose petal-y, Cosmic Wisdom guidebook. It looks like this. It's like mind mapped out, which is pretty cool. This deck is also, I will say, an RWS clone, but it's a diverse one. So I like the idea of using this deck more for eventually reading more for other people, like if I ever start more doing events. But as you can see, it also has this like holographic gilding. That's really nice. The back has a foiling, and it's also holographic and really cool and spacey looking. The cardstock otherwise is matte. Really good. Really great production quality. And I love the art style of this deck. This is the only Anima deck I have because I personally, I know it's like really mean to me, whatever. I'm very picky about art styles and I just really like this one. So I got it. I think it's a really nice clone. This deck feels like a contemporary fantasy book, like if it takes place in our world, modern fantasy, because it has some things that are vaguely reminiscent of like the real world or has like literally real world stuff in it, but then a lot of it is also very fantastical. So I don't know, it's a really cool deck. I've only used it a little bit. It's pretty standard, like, because again, it's an RWS clone. It does some things that are different from RWS though, so it's not like it's a complete clone, but it's like closer and in alignment to being a clone. And yeah, it's a fun one. It's beautiful. I feel like this is a good deck to like read with for others if you just want like a quick read. It gives a lot more of those vibes for me. But that's not a bad thing. Oh, and I love this 8 of Cups. So good. I think this was one of the cards that kind of made me want the deck. It's just so, I just love the color scheme and everything. It is so fun. It is so good. It's, yeah. Oh, and the 7 of Cups. Really, really good. Okay. I really like this one. I think, intend to, I forget when I put this again. It might be, I think I put to use this again in September, and see, it shuffles really nicely. I think I put to use this again in September. I think that's when I used it last year too. But yeah, this is the Cosmic Wisdom Tarot, and this is by Anima, and this is indie. Okay, last deck I'm going to show for this video, because again, this is going to have multiple parts, but this deck is the Disney Villains Tarot deck and guidebook. This is a mass market deck. This is specifically Insight Editions. But I have to say, this is probably one of the better Inside Edition decks, and I'm going to show you why. It comes with this guidebook, which is actually pretty good. It has like a pretty good amount of information despite it looking small. It's pretty succinct, and the characters on this deck are spot on. So as you can see, this is a Disney deck. So you have to kind of like Disney to want this. I have, oh, these are the backs. I don't know if this lighting you can tell very well, but I edged the deck to match the inlay on this. But anyways, not important. The cards are important. Now, here's the thing with Inside Edition decks. Okay, a lot of people know this already, but if you don't, this is, I'm just going to tell you now. A lot of Inside Edition decks are pips, if not pip-ish in nature. This deck, I would say, is mostly not a pip deck. This is one of the rare exceptions for Inside Edition. Some cards like this one are a little more pippy in nature, but I would very much argue that this is a very strong Pips with Feelings deck. But even then, I wouldn't say 100% that it's, I mean, this card's a little more vague, but this card's very on point. This is the Six of Coins, Generosity, and this is like the butler that's in the Aristocats. And if you know anything about his personality, he liked to give and be as helpful and generous as he could, but secretly, you know, he was plotting to steal the cats. So this deck is really fun, but I will say the big but here is that this is a deck that definitely skews to the darker or more reversed meanings of the cards, particularly with the quartz. That's what I was trying to say, quartz. But the core cards are also fantastic and very spot on. Again, they skew to the more negative sides to each of the quartz, but they are very spot on. This deck likes to just, it is a little mean, but it's like kind of like trickster mean. I don't know how to explain it. I've had decent readings enough with it, but yeah, it usually kind of likes to jab me a bit. So it's almost a very, almost very swords-like too. I don't know. But despite that, I do highly recommend this one as a good study for court cards. If you're not sure how to gauge the personality of the court cards. For me, it's a little bit, I've already explained this. It was easier for me to learn court cards, but it isn't for a lot of people. So if you were looking into that, I do recommend this deck. And it is a good one. Inside Edition cardstock too, which is, by the way, mass market. It's matte. It's got a nice texture for me. It is a little bit, no, you can bend it, I guess. It's like in between. It's not like too thin, but it's not too thick either. And it's an okay size for me. I have small hands, but it's still kind of eh. And it shuffles pretty much like this. It's not the greatest overhand shuffle, but maybe it shuffles a little better riffle, but I don't riffle, so is what it is. But anyways, yeah, this was a Disney Villains Tarot, and if you are watching so far, thank you so much for watching. Again, this is only part one of my more updated tarot collection, at least in more standard size tarot decks. There are more parts to come, so I will definitely see you guys again next time. Bye.